49ers to start this show. Let's get into some Sacramento Kings. They play tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers. We'll get into that in a bit. We got to recap what the heck happened on Saturday. 131-127. The Kings fall to the Lakers. They are 0-2 with their 2 losses by a combined 6 points to 2 teams who were both in the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the 21-0 run.
Okay.
Again, I'm trying to figure out where in the gray area I land here. That was, first of all, watching great players be great is the best thing about sports.
Yeah.
And it sucks when it's happening to your favorite team, especially when you know that, like, Patrick Mahomes runs for 33 yards to set up the kind of game-sealing score to put the dagger in. And you just know that play is going to be on Patrick Mahomes highlights for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
The Kirk Gibson home run, stuff like that. Like, that all sucks, right? But watching LeBron do what he did the other night, what do you do? That's where, like, you can't give, like, a 21-0 run is bad, objectively.
Yes.
Giving up a 21-0 run is something you can't do. But LeBron was also just awesome the other night and made some ridiculous shots that, like, even for LeBron, it's like, you've still got that in your bag, huh? Like, all right. Like, there were the kind of shots, it wasn't like he was just barreling to the rim and getting layups and ones all night. Like, man, you're forcing LeBron to settle for turnaround contested fadeaways and contested threes, and he's just hitting them?
Well, I mean, he turned into prime Dame Lillard and starts bombing from 28 feet, walking up into a half-court set and just pulling up from 28 feet.
I think the reason that this bothered me so much is not because the Kings lost a game or that they gave up a 21-0 run. Stuff happens in the NBA sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
One, the fact that the Kings couldn't get, there are 2 things that bothered me. One, you couldn't score at all on this Lakers team. The Kings have way too much offensive firepower to allow a team to score 21 unanswered points.
Yes.
That's the first thing. The second thing is that, well, let's start there. Go ahead. You respond to that. I'll get to my second.
Yeah. So, like, look, I heard so many weird things. Like, oh, why didn't Mike Brown call a timeout? It's like he called a timeout at the 2:03 mark into the quarter. He called a timeout, and at that point, it's a 14-0 run. And at that, he also subbed in Malik Monk for De'Aaron Fox. That's another thing. I saw somebody out there that fancies himself a podcaster still. Say, where was De'Aaron Fox? And, like, why wasn't he in the game? He was in the game. He was in the game for the first 2.5 minutes 2 minutes and 3 seconds when they gave up a whole bunch of points, right? 14 points. Mm-hmm. He missed 2 11-foot jumpers. DeMar DeRozan missed a 17-foot jumper, right? So, number one, Mike Brown did call a timeout, and he subbed in Monk, Sabonis, and Lyles. And the first thing that happens is, like, 8 seconds later, is Domantas Sabonis throws the ball out of bounds. And here we go again. So it was another 7 points that gets rattled off, and then Mike Brown makes 3 more subs. So, like, look, I get why Mike Brown, you're in the 4th quarter of a game. You can't just keep calling timeouts.
Mm-hmm.
You had a play where LeBron James got an and one, and the game stopped, and you had time to talk to your players. You had a full-blown timeout. Because if you get to the end of a game, and again, the fact that it was a 21-0 run, well, the Kings before that were up 7. Mm-hmm. So you're only down 14 until the 4th quarter. Yeah. The Kings fight all the way back. They get it down to 2 points with 57 seconds left in the game, right? And so they have a shot. But what would have happened if you would have just kept calling timeouts in the beginning of the quarter is, number one, you don't have any timeouts in the final minute. Mm-hmm. But number 2, you also, if you don't have any timeouts, you don't have any reviews either. Mm-hmm. You can't review a play. So, like, I get why a coach is going to say, okay, look, we're going to play this out. It's not going to be a 35-0 run. Mm-hmm. You're hoping that at some point you can stem the tide and get back to basics. And, like, so that would be number 1. Mm-hmm. Things happen. And not only that, but greatness happens. That's what we saw. We saw one of the greatest players of all time just look incredible. And if you go back to the 3rd quarter, he took a one-legged 3-point shot, like, on the side that was just trash. And so if you're the Kings and you watch that, mm-hmm. and you're not walking into the fourth quarter thinking, "Oh man, this dude's going to torch us out of nowhere."
Yeah.
It was just wild. And for that matter, Keegan Murray was your best defender, was on him.
So that's part number 2 here.
Yes.
That I think is kind of bigger picture, like zooming out from Saturday night and what happened Saturday night and timeouts and subs and all that. It underscored the issue that I think you and me and anybody else would have said, "Hey, what's wrong with the Kings roster? Like what's their biggest roster flaw?" It's their lack of size and athleticism on the perimeter.
Yes.
And not that there are people in the NBA that just stop LeBron James. Guys, one of the 2 or 3 greatest players who's ever put on a uniform.
Yes.
But that they have 0 additional options aside from Keegan Murray, where you feel good about, all right, Keegan's not getting it done. Let's try player X and see how he does. They just don't have that. And again, not that this isn't to say that, oh, there was some magical formula. Maybe if they had signed Jay Crowder.
Yeah.
If they had signed Jay Crowder, Isaiah Crawford was the only name in my head, and that was not what I was looking for.
Yeah.
If they had signed Jay Crowder, they would have won that game. That's not necessarily it. But the fact that they don't have a Jay Crowder type to go, all right, look, Keegan's doing his damnedest, but it's just not working. Let's try something different. They just don't. It's like you're not putting Keon on him.
No,
you're not putting Kevin Huerter on him.
Yeah, and Trey Lyles, that would be one of your options.
Sure,
he's just not there.
He is not.
He's not ready. He's fighting his way back, and he's trying to get in. He's trying to get into game shape. But if you're expecting Trey Lyles to go out there and stop LeBron James, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, number one, you've got some delusions of grandeur. But number two,
Big Trey Lyles.
You have to understand that your roster has a flaw if that's what the next option is.
Exactly.
And that's, again, like there are a lot of things that happen in preseason and, like the injuries you can't do anything about. I get that this team is not firing on all cylinders, but they put up 127 points. That's good enough to win most games. The problem is that you can't get stops in that situation. And the other problem is you're going up against LeBron James, who not only had 32 points, and 14 rebounds, but he also had 10 assists. So the second that you start sending somebody else at LeBron, which probably should have happened, where they started like trying to pick up, but again, back it up. He's shooting 28 footers in transition and nothing but net. That's not something that you're going to defend ever.
Nope.
Not with LeBron.
It's the kind of thing. It's exactly what Mike Brown said about Julius Randle the other night. Like, yeah, he went 5 of 6 from 3. Like
33% shoot 3-point shooter. When he walks on the court, nobody says, "Hey, we got a hot guy." That's
right.
Nobody says it.
You're living with that shot, and you're going, "Hey, if he's gonna hit those, then..." That's why I say it wasn't like LeBron was just barreling his way to the rim. And man, can somebody he's hitting a tough turnaround jumper. He's hitting a bunch of threes. He's 4 of 9 from 3. It's all right. And it doesn't help that you get Anthony Davis adding 31 and 9 with 3 steals and a couple of blocks. When those two guys are rolling like that, the Lakers are just really hard to beat.
They are. And I overall, again, I think the Kings did a pretty solid job overall. They had a 3-minute and something second like moment of weakness where one of the greatest players of all time. And as somebody who watched Klay Thompson score 37 and a quarter against the Kings in one quarter, I'm like that happens. It happens. With that guy, scored 60 one game, and he dribbled the ball 12 times?
Yeah, something like that.
So, like
29 minutes, I think he played and scored 60.
Yeah, so when I look at what LeBron did, you have to just, at some point, you have to tip your hat to somebody. And could there have been something else you could have done? Yeah, a couple of guys could have hit some shots. If, again, you hit a couple of those 11-foot jumpers, if you move the ball one more time. There's a couple of moments where there were like the ball got too sticky. Guys tried to take it on themselves. That's not going to work. Get back to your basics, but it's really hard when, again, you're playing with some guys that haven't been there.
That is something. That's the other kind of issue I take with the, again, I know I've said they've got a lot to figure out offensively. It might look a little clunky here and there, but they have too many talented players who are good one-on-one scorers. DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, Keegan Murray.
Domantas
Sabonis, thank you. Nobody could get a bucket? Not one? Not one. Like that's again, the defensive issues. 44 points in the fourth quarter is insane. Like that's really, really tough. You should win most games. You score 127.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's where it's like, you score 127. It's hard to go, hey, I need more offensively. But in that particular spot, I need somebody to go, nope, I'm taking this over.
Yep.
I'm going to go get to the foul line. I'm going to go get us a bucket. I'm going to go get to my spot and go get a good shot.
Get to the foul line. That's the biggest thing. Why you have, again, DeMar DeRozan, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis was out the first 2 minutes.
Against a team that can't defend the perimeter very well.
Yeah. And against a team that kept fouling you. You had 25 free throw attempts.
Man.
But for that window right there, somebody had to take it upon themselves to go get to the line and stop the run.
Yeah. 22 of 25 from the free throw line, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out.
They lead the NBA in free throw percentage at 83.3% through the first 2 games of the season.
I love it. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. The Sacramento Kings taking on the Portland Trail Blazers tonight at Golden One Center before hitting the road. The Trailblazers, so I watched a lot of the Blazers in their season opener against the Golden State Warriors. I was not impressed. I thought they looked terrible.
They're an odd collection of players.
They are it's just some dudes running around playing basketball. And Shaedon Sharpe didn't play in that game, so that was part of it. But thoroughly unimpressed by the Blazers. Now, man, they're on Cooper Flag watch. They might not win 20 games this year. Like, man, it could be a really, really bad year for the Blazers. But then they go and host the Pelicans and win 125 to 103 and smoke New Orleans.
Crushed them.
So they're still bad.
Yeah, but who are
you?
you?
The second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah.
But the Blazers aren't good. But they have enough talent that if you don't come in, and this is what I'm expecting the Kings to do tonight, I'm expecting the Kings to roll this bad team that's on the second night of a back-to-back. The Kings are so much better than the Blazers. They should be able to dominate this game in every facet. This shouldn't be close. They should win by 40. You'll take a win however you can get it, to be totally sure. But I am fully expecting the Kings to come out against this Blazers team, despite the fact that they just beat the heck out of the Pelicans. I want to see the Kings take this game seriously and blow out a team that's supposed to be really bad.
Well, Kyle, I'm going to point out, this is also a team that, number one, you're 2-1 against last year. You lost a bad game to them last year. One of the 4 bad losses of the season were to the Portland Trail Blazers. They also came into your building during the preseason and stomped you.
Yep.
Embarrassed you in front of your home crowd. Embarrassed.
Yep.
And so if you don't respect the game and you don't respect your opponent, the Sacramento Kings will lose again tonight. If that's what they do. If they don't come into this game ready to play and ready to respect their opponent. And so I think that we're going to see a different Kings team tonight. I think they're going to be hyper-focused. I think Mike Brown has played these guys a ton of minutes already, but he's trying to get everybody on the same page with the core, and then maybe we'll expand out after that. But for right now, this is a group that should be a little bit shell-shocked, but also should be looking around saying, we really haven't played poorly. We lost by 2 points in the home opener. We lost by 4 points after we gave up a 21-0 run and still only lost by 4 points. And we're within 2 with less than a minute left. We got LeBron. That's what happened. And that happens on occasion. So like, I expect them to recover tonight and to give a better effort. And I also know that there is no Julius Randle. There is no LeBron James. There is no Anthony Davis on the Portland Trail Blazers. They do not have a single player that is of that ilk. They got a bunch of guys that are interesting and a bunch of guys that you're like, hey, I wouldn't mind having that guy on my team.
No doubt.
But as of right now, they're just still an odd collection of players, not a team.
Yeah. And I think they also, here are the guys on the Trailblazers that really intrigue me.
Mm-hmm.
Toumani Camara.
Like him.
But what is he?
Yeah.
No idea.
Nope.
Denny Avdia. What is he?
Yeah.
Like solid player, but like, is he eventually an all-star? Is he what? No idea what he is. Talented player for sure.
For sure.
But again, like what I don't know what his long-term trajectory is. Anthony Simons, same thing. Is he a starting guard on a good team? Is he a sixth man? What is Anthony Simons? He was really good last night. 5 of 10 from 3, had 27 points, 6 assists, and a couple of steals. DeAndre Ayton is just talented player, but
big body.
Yeah.
You don't keep a body on him in the key, and the Kings have dealt with him a couple of times where he's gotten loose with a bunch of rebounds right in the middle of the key.
Mm-hmm.
Got to have body on him.
17 and 12 last night for him. Donovan Clingan, rookie, interesting rookie from Connecticut.
Yep.
Scoot Henderson, still trying to find his way in the NBA. It's fascinating that he's not starting.
Really weird.
Played 30 minutes off the bench though.
Yeah.
2 of 12 last night. Ugh.
Yeah, he's not a great shooter.
He's a plus 20 though. 5 boards, 7 assists. Hey, this is an insane thing that happened. I'm looking at the box score from this Pelicans Blazers game. The Pelicans had 15 offensive rebounds.
Oof.
The Blazers had 22.
Oh no.
There were 37 offensive rebounds in the game.
That's crazy.
That's outrageous.
Well, I mean, the
you
Kings
pull down 15 offensive boards, you feel really, really good about your night.
Yeah, I would think so. And again, the Kings talked about the splash zone for like
the crash zone.
The crash zone, right? The crash zone. We're worried about the crash zone nonstop. That's all we heard about throughout training camp. They've got like 6 offensive rebounds combined between the first 2 games. Nobody's crashing. I don't know what's happening. Wild.
Yeah, you can't have that. Kings starters tonight: De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis for the Blazers. Probably looking at Anthony Simons, Denny Avdia, Toumani Camara, Jeremy Grant, and DeAndre Ayton. I'm assuming that'll be their starting 5 again.
Yeah.
I don't know why they'd change it at this point.
So they started last night.
Yeah, and then who intrigues you the most? If you got to pick a player from the Blazers starting lineup, who would you pick?
To throw onto the Kings?
Yeah, let's say that. Forget contract.
Well, if you're going to forget contract, I still think Jeremy Grant would be a decent fit as a player, although he's a really, really poor rebounder. And then Kamara. I don't know.
Yeah, I like Toumani too.
Yeah.
Unless Denny's a weird player for me. I can't decide if he's like kind of poor man's Alperen Şengün, or is he?
I'd say he's more poor man's Franz Wagner.
Okay.
Yeah, he's more of a combo forward that he's starting at the 2 for them, but he's more of like he's a heady player. He's a good passer. He's improved defensively. He's sort of what Mario Hezonja was supposed to be. Sort of that guy. Maybe not the high flyer that Mario was. Sure. But I think he's quality. I would not have given up what did they give up? 2 first-round picks for him?
Yeah, they gave up a lot to get him.
Yeah, I thought that was surprising. But yeah, kind of an intriguing player. I would take Dwop Reef as well.
Hey, Dwop Reef is the man. Watch out for Dwop Reef tonight, man.
He comes out and busts up the Kings.
He hasn't been playing a ton. Yeah. Just because of DeAndre Ayton and Donovan Clingan, they're gonna commit minutes to those guys.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd see what they want for Dwop Reef. I am dead serious.
Yeah, he busted up the Kings last year, and then I think
shoot it a little bit.
All Kings fans should just be hoping that Delonto, what's his name?
Delano Banton.
Delano Banton, who went 0 for 15 from 3 in the final game of the year against the Kings. 0 for 15 from 3, and then got kicked out of the game.
Dwop Reef, in 70 games as a pro, has averaged 17 minutes, shooting 46% from the field, 36% from 3, 74% from the line, and averages 9 points, 4 boards with an assist and half a block.
Yeah, but that one game against the Kings.
Is to say most of that production came against the Kings.
Yeah, one game. Most of it was one game against the Kings.
Yeah, probably not going to have to worry about it tonight. The Kings favored by 12.5. We'll get to our predictions a little bit later on. It's time for the injury report. No changes for the Kings. Devin Carter still out. Orlando Robinson still out. For the Blazers, no Matisse Thybulle, no Robert Williams, and no Shaden Sharp.
Yeah.
3 kind of key rotation pieces for them all out.
They've got young talent. That's what that team has. It's whether or not they can put it all together and develop it.
Do we think we see Keon Ellis tonight?
I'm gonna say yes because I like the matchup with
Yep.
Anthony Simons. I even like him trying to slow down Scoot, because when Scoot decides to run at the rim, he's like an NFL running back.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he's a strong dude.
I'm so interested to watch Scoot Henderson tonight.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously so talented, but I don't know what his role is. He's not. I don't know if he's a scoring guard. I don't know if he's a pass first guy, because I don't think he shoots it well enough to be a go-to number 1 scorer.
No, I think we're gonna have to wait. It's gonna take 2 or 3 years. This is a kid who went through the G League Ignite system.
Right.
He spent 2 years with the Ignite, and everyone knew who he was. I thought he would be the Rookie of the Year last year, and then he came out and just could not shoot at all, from anywhere,
like zero shooting.
Yeah.
Like not just 3. He just could not put the ball in the hoop, and he's struggling to do it again this year.
Yeah, he looked like last year. He looked like young Emmanuel Mudiay. That's what he looked like. Where it's just you're like, look, you can't just try to run at the rim every single time. There has to be more to your game. I think he'll develop, and I've also, I have ties to the G League Ignite. What was the G League Ignite? And they think so highly of him, and everyone does that. He's a really hard worker and all this stuff. So I expect him to get better as the years go by. But early on in his career, it's like, I don't know what you are.
Yeah, man. I'm fascinated to watch him tonight because the flashes of talent are amazing.
Yeah.
And he'll have a couple of plays here and there where you're like, oh, hey, light bulb's coming on for Scoot. And then he'll go 2 for 12 in a game from the field. And
very inconsistent.
Kind of not really sure what he is. All right. The